Today, we're talking about juvenile cases, and more specifically, we're talking about one of the resolution options that exists with juvenile cases, especially here in Texas, and that's called a determinate sentence. So what is a determinate sentence? What does it mean? When does it apply? That's what we're talking about this week, so stick around and let's chat about it. Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you're all having a great week and gearing up for another awesome weekend. Like I said in the intro, we're talking about what a determinate sentence is today in Texas juvenile cases specifically. Now, different states may have different definitions. They may have different words that they call this, but in Texas, it's called a determinate sentence. So what is it? Well, before we get into the answer, I do want to make a couple of shameless plugs. First is my Twitch channel. On Wednesdays and Sundays, I do a live stream over there where we discuss all things law related and life related. Please, I'm begging you, go over there, give me a follow, and then join me on one of my live streams Sunday or Wednesday night at 7:45 p.m. Texas time, and let's chat about any questions that you guys might have. Second is I'm currently raising money for Extra Life, a charity event that I have been doing for the past 12 years. It would mean a lot if you check out my Extra Life fundraising page, which you can find at the link right here. Thank you. Now, juvenile cases in Texas. When a district attorney is looking at a juvenile case and what do they want to do, they have several different options. Now, one of the different options that most people are familiar with is, do they want to charge this person as an adult? If a person is a juvenile and they've committed a serious infraction and the DA decides that this should be treated as an adult crime, if this should be charged and litigated in the normal adult court, then that process is, in Texas at least, is called certification. They have to certify the juvenile as an adult for purposes of the offense. That's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is a determinate sentence. So normally, the juvenile justice system, the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, has jurisdiction over an individual until sometimes their 18th, but more often than not, their 19th birthday. So if an individual commits an offense, and in juvenile world, we don't say commits an offense. If a juvenile engages in delinquent behavior, that's what we actually say in the juvenile world. If they engage in delinquent behavior, let's say at the age of 15, and the probation department decides that this person needs to be sentenced to some term of sentence, whether that's supervision via probation, whether that's incarceration in the juvenile justice department, for some period longer than 4 years, right? So if they're 15 at the time, by the time they come to court, they reach a resolution, but the sentence should be longer than 4 years, then they have to decide what they want to do. Because if they just sentence the individual to regular juvenile probation, let's say, then no matter how long that sentence would have been for, the day that that juvenile turns 19, they're done. They get off probation. They no longer have, the Juvenile Justice Department no longer has jurisdiction over them, and so they're free to go. Their probation is over. So the Juvenile Justice Department and the DA's office is tasked with, what do we do in situations in which the sentence should be longer than what we have left to supervise them? We don't really want to try them as an adult because for whatever reason, that's not the just and the right and the fair result, but they need to be punished longer than 2 years. You know, it happens a lot when the juvenile is 16 or 17 years old. 17, they usually just get tried as an adult, but like 16 years old is really that, 15, 16 years old is really that magic number where there's not a lot of time left for probation to supervise this young person before they're going to age out of the system. So what a determinate sentence is they get sentenced. Typically, it's typically used when it's a period of incarceration. So it's they would be sent over to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, so juvenile hall. The sentence given to them is a sentence longer than they have. I had one recently that was a juvenile homicide case, and the young person was 16 years old. The judge did a determinate sentence and sentenced the individual to 20 years, okay? Now, obviously, at 16, there's only 2 years until, or 2 or 3 years until the child ages out of the juvenile system, and so normally they would be released. So what a determinate sentence does is they start their sentence at TJJD, Texas Juvenile Justice Department, so juvenile prison. On their 18th birthday, or when they hit 18, they come back to that same sentencing judge for a determination hearing. The judge then has a couple different options. The judge can look at the body of work that juvenile has completed while in TJJD, look at all the courses they've completed, look at their behavior, look at their how they've interacted with other juveniles, with a staff member, and the judge can say, I'm going to deem your sentence as complete and release you, and you are done, and then your sentence is over. Or the judge can make the determination that, well, you know, I still think that you need further incarceration for whatever reason. You're not quite at the level that I would want you to be at for me to release you into the world, and so I'm going to make the determination that you should continue your sentence over in adult prison, and then that person, the juvenile, is transferred from juvenile over to the adult side. So it's a way for the judge to sentence a juvenile to a long period of incarceration, or longer than they otherwise would be able to. But the good news is that juvenile gets a chance to come back before the judge and plead their case again on, look, I've done 2 years, I've done 3 years in TJJD, I've done everything that I've been asked, I've learned my lesson, I'm changed, I'm better, and I'd ask that you just release me and deem my sentence complete. And the judge can, and oftentimes, not often, I guess not oftentimes, it's not uncommon for a judge to do that, especially some of the more juvenile-minded judges that really are acting in the best interest of the child. So it's a unique way to resolve a juvenile case. It's it's the only place where something like that exists. It's something that if you do have a juvenile that's going through a juvenile case and they're talking about a determinate sentence, you need to be aware of exactly how that works and what that means. You need to be prepared for that determination hearing that happens when they're 18, because, like I said, if you catch the right judge who's willing to actually consider those types of things, there is a decent chance that you could make an argument to end that juvenile's jail sentence early before they get transferred over to the adult side of the Department of Corrections, which is obviously something that if we can avoid, we want to avoid. So, hope this answered some questions that y'all may have had out there. Hope it was at least mildly entertaining. As always, if you want to talk about this more, go into more detail about it, please feel free to join me on any of my live streams on Wednesday or Sunday night. We can talk about this or any other video topic that you want to dive into. That's what those live streams exist for. So come on by. I'd love to chat with you guys about it. I look forward to seeing you there. I look forward to seeing you next Friday when we do another one of these videos. And until then, I want everybody out there to be good and stay on the right side of the bars.